The morning sun gleamed off the gentle waves as the cruise ship, the Odyssey, set sail from the bustling port of Miami. On board were 100 eager tourists, ready for an adventure of a lifetime. Among them were best friends Jake and Lisa, who had saved up for years to afford this dream vacation. The ship was a floating paradise, complete with luxurious amenities, fine dining, and endless entertainment. Jake and Lisa marveled at the beauty of the open sea and eagerly participated in all the onboard activities. Little did they know, their dream vacation would soon turn into a nightmare. 3 days into the voyage, disaster struck. The ship ventured into icy waters and collided with a massive glacier. The impact was devastating, causing the ship's hull to crack and water to pour in. Panic ensued as passengers scrambled to the lifeboats, desperate to escape the sinking vessel. Jake and Lisa managed to secure a spot in one of the lifeboats, but not everyone was so lucky. Many passengers were thrown into the icy sea, and chaos reigned as the ship slowly sank beneath the waves. The survivors huddled together in the lifeboats, shivering and praying for rescue. Hours turned into days and no rescue came. The survivors were stranded in the middle of the ocean, their supplies dwindling. One by one, people began to succumb to the harsh conditions. Exposure, dehydration, and despair took their toll. Jake and Lisa clung to hope, determined to survive. One fateful morning, a storm rolled in, tossing the lifeboats like toys in the angry sea. Jake and Lisa were separated from the other survivors and found themselves adrift, alone and at the mercy of the elements. As the storm raged, they spotted a small, isolated island in the distance. Exhausted and half-drowned, Jake and Lisa washed ashore on the island. The place was eerily silent, with no signs of human habitation. They surveyed their surroundings and realized they had to fend for themselves. With no food, water, or shelter, they faced a daunting challenge. They scavenged for anything edible: fruits, berries, and even insects. Fresh water was scarce, and they had to ration every drop they found. The island's dense jungle was teeming with dangers: poisonous plants, venomous snakes, and lurking predators. But Jake and Lisa refused to give up. Days turned into weeks as Jake and Lisa fought to survive on the island. They built a makeshift shelter from branches and leaves, crafted tools from rocks, and hunted small animals for food. Every day was a struggle, but they learned to rely on each other and their resourcefulness. The island's nights were the most terrifying. Strange noises echoed through the jungle, and the darkness seemed to come alive with unseen threats. Jake and Lisa took turns keeping watch, their nerves on edge. They knew they had to stay strong and vigilant if they were to survive. One day, while exploring the island, Jake and Lisa stumbled upon an old, abandoned hut. Inside, they found remnants of a previous inhabitant: tools, tattered clothing, and a journal. The journal detailed the experiences of someone who had been stranded on the island long ago. It also contained valuable information on how to find food and water. With the knowledge gained from the journal, Jake and Lisa's chances of survival improved. They followed the instructions to locate a freshwater spring and learned to identify safe plants and animals to eat. Their spirits lifted, knowing they were not the first to endure this ordeal. The nights on the island grew increasingly terrifying. Strange howls echoed through the jungle, and the shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Jake and Lisa fortified their shelter, but sleep remained elusive. They took turns keeping watch, their senses heightened by the constant threat of danger. One night while on watch, Lisa saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at her from the darkness. She froze, her heart pounding. The creature emerged from the shadows, a large, menacing predator with sharp teeth and claws. Lisa's shout woke Jake, and they quickly armed themselves with makeshift spears. The creature lunged at them, and a fierce struggle ensued. Using their wits and teamwork, Jake and Lisa managed to fend off the predator, driving it back into the jungle. Exhausted and shaken, they knew they had to remain vigilant and resourceful to survive the island's dangers. The next day, Jake and Lisa decided to explore more of the island, hopping to find additional resources. They stumbled upon a hidden cave entrance, partially covered by dense foliage. Intrigued and cautious, they ventured inside, their flashlights illuminating the dark, narrow passage. Inside the cave, they discovered ancient carvings on the walls depicting scenes of rituals and sacrifices. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper, and the sense of foreboding increased. At the cave's heart, they found a stone altar, adorned with strange symbols and relics. Among the relics was a weathered map, detailing the layout of the island and marking the location of hidden water sources and food caches. The map offered hope, but the sinister carvings hinted at dark secrets. Jake and Lisa took the map and quickly exited the cave, feeling a lingering unease. With the help of the map, Jake and Lisa located hidden water sources and food caches, improving their chances of survival. They found a secluded lagoon with fresh water, abundant fruit trees, and a variety of edible plants. The discovery boosted their morale, and they felt a renewed sense of hope. As they explored the island further, they stumbled upon an abandoned campsite. It appeared to have been used by previous castaways, and they found useful supplies, tools, clothing, and even a small, functional radio. The radio was damaged, but Jake believed he could fix it with some effort. Over the next few days, Jake worked tirelessly to repair the radio, while Lisa continued gathering food and water. Their determination paid off when they finally managed to get a faint signal. They sent out a distress call, hoping that someone would hear their plea for help. As they waited for a response, Jake and Lisa encountered an unexpected ally, a lone fisherman named Miguel, who had been stranded on the island for months. He had survived by living off the land and had extensive knowledge of the island's resources and dangers. Miguel shared his wisdom and skills with Jake and Lisa, teaching them advanced survival techniques and helping them navigate the island more efficiently. The trio formed a close bond, supporting each other through the hardships and dangers they faced. With Miguel's help, Jake and Lisa felt more confident in their ability to survive and find a way off the island. They continued to send out distress calls, hoping that their signal would eventually reach someone who could rescue them. As days turned into weeks, the situation on the island grew more perilous. The weather became increasingly unpredictable, with violent storms lashing the island and making it difficult to gather food and water. The trio had to constantly adapt to the changing conditions, relying on their resourcefulness and teamwork. One day, while exploring a new part of the island, they stumbled upon a hidden cave. Inside, they discovered evidence of an ancient civilization that had once inhabited the island. The cave walls were covered in intricate carvings and paintings, depicting rituals and ceremonies. Among the artifacts, they found an ancient manuscript written in a language they couldn't understand. Miguel believed it might hold the key to the island's mysteries and possibly a way to escape. They carefully took the manuscript back to their shelter, hoping to decipher its meaning. Over the next few days, the trio worked tirelessly to decipher the manuscript. Using Miguel's knowledge of ancient languages and some trial and error, they began to piece together its meaning. The manuscript detailed the rituals performed by the island's ancient inhabitants to appease the spirits of the land and sea. One passage stood out. It described a ritual that, if performed correctly, could summon help from beyond the island. The ritual required specific ingredients and precise timing, but it offered a glimmer of hope. The trio decided to gather the necessary materials and prepare for the ritual. On the night of the full moon, the trio gathered at the ancient altar they had found in the cave. The air was thick with tension as they set up the ritual, placing the ingredients on the altar and lighting candles around it. They began to recite the incantations from the manuscript, their voices trembling with both fear and hope. As they continued the ritual, the ground began to tremble and the air crackled with energy. Strange, ghostly apparitions appeared around them, watching the proceedings with hollow eyes. The trio pressed on, their voices growing louder and more confident. The final incantation was spoken, and the apparitions let out a haunting wail before dissolving into the night. The air grew still, and an eerie silence descended upon the island. The trio waited, holding their breath, hoping that their plea for help had been heard. The next morning, as the trio went about their daily tasks, they spotted a small boat approaching the island. Their hearts raced with excitement and disbelief. The boat docked on the shore, and a figure emerged, a mysterious old man with a weathered face and piercing eyes. The old man introduced himself as Eli, a sailor who had been guided to the island by a strange force. He had heard the distress call and felt compelled to investigate. Eli listened intently as Jake, Lisa, and Miguel recounted their ordeal and the ritual they had performed. Eli revealed that he was familiar with the island's ancient history and the rituals performed by its inhabitants. He believed that the spirits had guided him to help them escape. With Eli's guidance, the trio felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. Eli helped the trio repair the small boat and gather enough supplies for the journey back to civilization. With a mix of excitement and apprehension, they set sail, leaving the island of despair behind. The voyage was treacherous, with rough seas and unpredictable weather, but their spirits remained high. After several days at sea, they finally spotted a distant coastline. Their hearts soared with relief and joy as they realized they were approaching the mainland. They had survived the island's horrors and were on their way home. As they docked at a small coastal town, they were met with astonished looks from the locals. News of their miraculous survival spread quickly, and they were hailed as heroes. Jake, Lisa, and Miguel's bond had been forged in the crucible of survival, and they knew they would remain lifelong friends. Back in America, Jake, Lisa, and Miguel shared their story with the world. Their tale of survival, bravery, and friendship inspired many. They vowed to cherish every moment and to never take life for granted.